Forget about the girl. We've got bigger worries.
Such as?
That document, or whatever it is Edward's carrying around.
Yeah? What about it?
It could be our eviction notice.
Eviction? What do you mean?
I mean, they could be divorce papers. If I left out in the cold, you would be too, Tony. We'd both be penniless.
Divorce? Are things that bad between you?
Edward has grown tired of me, and I suspect he's already picked my replacement. At first, I thought he was simply having a mild flirtation with that Dixie cream donut, Peggy Sue. But now, I'm not so sure.
Ooh, Peggy Sue, she's a knockout. But you're more sophisticated than she is, more, what's the word? Glamorous than she
20
is.
years older than she is. That hominy-fed hussy has one thing I don't, Tony. Youth. And that's one thing Edward's money can't buy me.
Edward's money? It should be your money too. If he hadn't, maybe sign that agreement.
But he did. I'm afraid the only way Edward's fortune could possibly become mine is if he were to drop dead before he divorced me.
Okay, hold it. Can we get some lights, please? And kill the storm. I think I'll save the rain till later in the scene anyways. You two can take a break. I'll bring you back in a few minutes to introduce you properly. Hello, you caught us in an intense moment. I was just working on a little scene. Well, you'll see in a minute. I am a writer, a playwright to be exact. Well, it's not entirely correct. I represent a playwright. I am his alter ego, so to speak. It would probably help if I had a name. Let's see, alter ego, alter. I know, how about Walter? Yeah, close enough? Fine, we'll call me Walter. Here's the deal. I thought you all might find it interesting to see how I would commit a murder. It's a deal you don't get every day. The easiest way to show you is to deconstruct the crime, so that's what we're gonna do. Now, pay attention. Once you find out how easy it is to knock somebody off, you might just want to try it for yourself. In your imagination, of course. The first thing I picture when I start a new play is the setting. I'm partial to old mansions like this one that's dark and gloomy. A room such as this creates the perfect ambiance for a murder to occur. When the room lights go out, glowing embers and pale moonlight provide just the right amount of low lighting to invoke a sinister atmosphere. And as you just saw, the French doors were great if you wish to throw in a little thunderstorm. I've learned to keep the storm effects to a minimum though. If they go on for too long, people start popping up in the audience and rushing out to the restrooms. That can be terribly distracting. 86 the storm! Ah, that's better. I get the feeling you were just about to go off to the restrooms. If you could hold it till intermission, I'd be extremely grateful. Now, on to the subject. This archway, it's good, especially for sudden entrances. I usually show the base of the staircase beyond, so you get the sense that the house is at least 2 stories tall. The characters can go up and down them to the bedrooms, presumably. Passageway here gives access to the kitchen and other rooms downstairs. A door off upright gives the sound effects of people coming into and going out of the house. Door behind the fireplace leads to the parlor and provides yet another access for the murderer to do his thing, or hers, should I intend to use it for this purpose. When it comes to killers, I am an equal opportunity playwright. Now, that brings us to the subject of suspects. There are quite a few possible murders in tonight's little mystery/comedy. I mean, it wouldn't be much fun trying to guess who the murderer is if there were only a couple of suspects to choose from. Let's bring out the ones you saw earlier. Tony, Allegra, come back in here. Oh, I should probably mention, this is the living room of a powerful and ruthless millionaire, Edward Worthington III. You'd all be surprised on just how much time I put into thinking of just the right name for my characters. Edward Worthington is a strong man with a mature personality, and the third suggested money handed down through several generations. Admitted, you wouldn't have conjured up that image if I named him Jack Sprat, now would you? We'll meet that man later. As you'll find, many of our characters have very strong feelings towards him, including these two. Hell yeah.
when Edward grew tired of his first wife, Justine. He divorced her and married me. It's an old story. Middle-aged man dumps first spouse for trophy wife. I suppose I should be grateful you didn't name me Heisman.
Not a chance, my dear. Although I do go for laughs, I draw the line at low comedy. Allegra suits you perfectly. It's beautiful and mysterious, like you.
Thank you. I shall do my best to live up to it.
And I'm Allegra's brother, Tony Blackwell. And yeah, I'm a playboy. And can I help it if women find me irresistible? Hey, gorgeous. How about meeting me after the show tonight? I know this quiet little place where we can have an intimate supper for two. Then later, we can go back to my place, put on some romantic music, and then...
Okay, Tony, hold it. You better not make any plans for later. If I decide to make you murder, you might just find yourself in an intimate little jail cell.
That's true. How about a ring check?
I use Playboys, and my shows fairly often. They invariably try to seduce one that young woman, a sweet, innocent maid or two, for example. This adds suspense. Will she succumb to his charms, or won't she? This is called subplot. At any rate, let me warn you, if you do make plans with Tony for later, I absolve myself of all responsibility for his actions. I can control him up here, but out there in the real world, moving right along. Why don't you two go take a seat at the table? Allegra mentioned Justine Worthington. Justine Deborah! This is she and her daughter, Deborah, a college student. Justine, what are your feelings towards your former husband?
I despise the
Remember, G-rated show.
old goat. When we married, I was young and attractive. I gave Edward a beautiful daughter, Deborah. But when I failed to provide him with a male heir that he could mold to be as cold-hearted and power-hungry as he is, he made my life a living nightmare.
Poor Mom. Father didn't mistreat me, he ignored me. When I was 6 or 7 years old, I had long curls that fell to my waist. One day, I took a pair of scissors and chopped off all my curls down to a 1-inch burr cut. This was years before girls even considered such a style.
Your beautiful curls.
I thought if I looked more like a boy, then Father might pay more attention to me. But I don't even think he noticed.
I might have been able to forgive Edward for what he did to me, but his behavior towards our daughter, I'll resent him for that till the day I die, or he does.
We get the picture. Be seated, ladies. Edward has one other family member, his sister, Beatrice Worthington. Beatrice is several years older than him and helped raise him, since their parents were jet-setters who were constantly zipping around the globe, leaving their offsprings in the hands of nursemaids and servants. Beatrice! Oh, Beatrice is somewhat befuddled, and it's quite possible that Edward allows her to continue to live with him, more as a sense of duty than any feelings of affection towards his sibling.
Did somebody call me?
Yes, Miss Worthington, come on down and say hello to all these nice people.
People? Oh my, it's so nice to see you all. I don't go out very much, so I rarely get to meet anyone except for Edward's associates, who call occasionally. And then I never seem to understand what they're talking about. Oh dear. I didn't realize Edward invited so many guests to his birthday party. I don't think we'll have nearly enough food.
Oh, don't fret, Miss Worthington. They won't be joining us for dinner.
Good. Oh, it isn't that you're not welcome.
Consider yourself lucky. Stage food is seldom what it's supposed to be. Mashed bananas for whipped potatoes, that sort of thing. Starving actors usually love dinner scenes and will eat anything that's not nailed down. But there are some food substitutions that even they shudder to think about. You did very nice, Miss Worthington. How about going and taking a seat, Tony and Allegra at the table?
All right.
Our next party guest to introduce is, first, as Beatrice mentioned, tonight's gathering is for a very special occasion. Edward Worthington's birthday, his 50th, in fact. In case you're wondering why Justine would be present for such an occasion, it's because she was ordered to. And because Edward signed her alimony checks, she bit the bullet and showed up. I suspect Edward wished to have her here to show Allegra how easily he could dispose of her should she cross him one too many times. I doubt if it's crossed his mind just how easy Allegra could dispose of him in a different way. Baby brother Tony would be only too willing to help out. But I digress. Let me bring out the next party guests. Roy, Connie! Roy Phillips is Edward's business manager. He controls Edward's vast finances, which includes the money he inherited, as well as millions generated yearly by Worthington Enterprises, a conglomerate of newspapers, television studios, and other media-related companies. It's a staggering responsibility, and it requires very sturdy-minded individual. It's no wonder Roy shows all the warmth and humor of a popsicle.
If Edward wanted to laugh, he would have hired a comedian. I've worked for Edward for 20 years. My employer is brilliant at running his businesses, but relies totally on me to control all his investments. Sometimes I wonder if he even appreciates what it is I do for him.
I have no doubt that you're great at it. They say behind every great man stands a great woman. No, Connie, just a figure of speech.
I thought... Never mind.
The woman behind Roy, figuratively speaking, is his wife, Connie. They are as mismatched as striped pants and a plaid shirt. In fact, Connie is as giddy as Roy is somber.
I'm not that bad. He's only saying that because I got lost in a super Walmart for an entire day. It could happen to anybody.
I will add, she spent part of the time looking for her car in the parking lot.
You've done that too, right?
Roy, if you'll help Connie find the sofa, we'll continue. Our next guest to introduce is Edward's personal secretary, Peggy Sue Brumley. Peggy Sue! Peggy Sue comes from Alabama, quite possibly with a banjo on her knee. I say this because she is your typical Southern belle. She goes by both her first and middle names. South of the Mason-Dixon line, you'll find a lot of Peggy Sues, Peggy Anns, Peggy Lees, Peggy Jeans, Peggy Marys. You get the point.
That helps you tell all those Peggy's apart, sugar love.
Well, shut my mouth. Say hi to all the folks, won't you, honey child?
Hi, y'all!
I confess, I have a great affection for Southern women. They're charming, funny, and very bright. Although they're good at hiding the facts when they want to. She could easily get away with murder, because you'd never suspect a sweet young thing like Peggy Sue to be capable of such a grisly crime.
Well, I certainly hope not. I don't even know why Walter would suggest such a thing. Murder indeed. The very idea just gives me the willies. Besides, you'd have to dislike somebody heaps and heaps to want them dead, and I get along fine with everybody. Well, just about.
And Edward?
Edward? Edward can be awfully demanding at times and real rude when he gets in a bad mood, and he gets in bad moods a lot. I'll admit he does ruffle my feathers, but you can't murder somebody for having an unpleasant disposition, can you?
Anything's possible. How about taking a seat with the family at the table, Peggy Sue?
Sure, sweetie.
I have one last business associate of Edward's to introduce. His lawyer, Florin. Florin! Florin Tate is a lawyer, and there is no doubt that the woman can draw up legal papers. In fact, if she had been around in 1776, she could have drawn up the Declaration of Independence in 15 minutes.
I accept the compliment because it happens to be true. You could say I'm out of debt to writing the modern equivalent of the Declaration of Independence. To wit, divorce papers. Just ask Justine Worthington. It's also possible that Allegra Worthington will be able to attest to this fact in the near future. Both women have also learned the hard way that I write a marriage contract that is ironclad, one that protects Edward with an iron fist.
Thank you for the information, Lauren.
You'll receive my bill in the mail.
I've only myself to blame. I created her. One more set of introductions, and then we'll get this show on the road. The servants. Staff, please join us. Oh, in real life, it would take the staff the size of a small platoon to run a mansion as big as Worthington Manor. But for our purposes, these 5 will do quite nicely. Sound off, troops.
I am Hollister, the butler. I picture Worthington Manor as a huge ocean liner of which I am the captain. The other servants can tell you I run a very tight ship.
the truth, and I like it that way. I'm Mrs. Vickers, the housekeeper. Mr. Whittington's Manor is a showplace, and I intend to keep it that way.
I'm Ina, the cook. Somebody didn't give me a last name, so it's just Ina. I do my job, keep my ears open and mouth shut. You'll be surprised when I can tell you about the people who live under this roof. But I won't.
I'm Edith.
And I'm Edwina. We're the maids.
We're kind of shy.
We'd rather not be up here talking about ourselves.
Oh, I heard what you said about Mr. Tony trying to seduce maids, and that makes us nervous too.
Oh, don't worry, my dears. We'll get to that when the time comes. If I may take center stage. There you have the cast of characters in tonight's little mystery. They include, as you recall, Edward's current wife and her playboy brother, his sister, his ex-wife and their daughter, his lawyer, his secretary, and the household staff. They'll start to play while I summon the key figure in our story, Edward Worthington III. Can we get a blackout and some mood music to provide the transition, please?
Ina sent me with the hors d'oeuvres, Miss Vickers.
Set the tree on the table, Edith, so I doubt anyone will have much of an appetite.
That would be a shame. Ina prepared a wonderful dinner. Pot roast, gravy, whipped potatoes.
She could have saved herself the trouble and opened a can of Spam. Believe me, this crowd won't have their minds on the cooking.
What do you mean?
I mean, these people know Mr. Whittington. He's barely civil to them at his best. You mark my words, the boss is up to something.
I hope it doesn't get unpleasant. I hate scenes.
Well, you better find a room closet to take shelter in. I know Mr. Whittington, and I know what he's capable of.
You come on in here, Miss Beatrice. Call us a romance and no attorney. I found her at the dining room table with a knife in one hand and a fork in the other.
I'm hungry. There are some of Ina's lovely hors d'oeuvres on the table. Why don't you have some of those? I believe I will.
I have to get back to my Brussels sprouts. Edith, come with me. You better bring in another turn of hors d'oeuvres.
Yes, ma'am.
If you can keep her in here, I'd appreciate it.
I think she'll be content where she is.
Edith.
Now, Miss Beatrice, I need you to sit here and wait till all the other guests arrive. They'll be here shortly. I must check the parlor should anyone wish to retire there after dinner.
Retire? Is it time to go to bed?
No, Miss Beatrice. Just eat your snacks.
Snacks? Oh, yes. Do you want some? You can have the ones with the black things on them.
They're olives.
I don't like them. You eat them.
No, thank you, Miss Beatrice. There are some lovely mints, too. I'll be back to check on you later. That poor woman.
What a lovely dish. I think I'll keep it. But there's these pebbles in the way. There you go. I don't think anybody will miss it. Nasty things.
I feel like a hypocrite. Besides, what do you give someone who makes more money in a day than you do in a lifetime? A doormat so that people can kneel on it to kiss his feet?
I think he owns several already. What did you get him?
I got him a necktie. It's the closest thing I could find to a noose. What did you get him?
A gold-plated pen and pencil set. Since everything Edward touches turns to gold anyway, I thought they'd be appropriate.
Presents? Are those for me?
No, Beatrice, they're for your brother. It's Edward's birthday, remember?
It is? Oh, that's right. It is. but I forgot to get him something for his birthday. But I could get him a little something I happened to pick up.
That's not necessary. I'll put these over here.
Are those hors d'oeuvres? They look good.
Most of them are.
Yeah, I'm not very hungry anyways. Yeah, what is this? Disgusting.
What is it?
I don't know, some sort of beetle, I think. Must have come from the French doors.
Huh. It's clouding over. The TV weatherman says there's a storm approaching.
Ah, how appropriate. Could get tempestuous inside as well as out.
Tony, Edward has been very difficult to deal with lately. Try not to do anything that might upset him.
I'll try, sister dear, but the very fact that I breathe the same air as Edward seems to upset him.
Excuse me.
Oh, more nibbles! How nice! I'll put these over here.
You're looking very pretty tonight, Edwina.
It must be the dress.
Thank you, Mr. Blackwell. You're looking very nice in your tuxedo.
Edwina, I imagine Ina could come up with something for you to do in the kitchen. Why don't you find out?
Yes, ma'am.
Really, Tony, you should try charming some young heiress who could support you. I don't think Edward is going to allow me to help you out much longer.
The old skinflint? But don't worry, Allegra. I have enough charm to go around for both heiresses and pretty maids. Ah, the guests. They're starting to arrive.
Is the Avon lady here?
No, Beatrice. Eat your hors d'oeuvres.
I believe I will.
Come in. Let me take your coats.
Thank you, Hollister.
The life of the party is here.
The Phillips.
Hey, Roy, old boy.
Tony, Allegra.
Roy, Connie.
Allegra, you look beautiful. I love that dress. I wish I could find one like it.
I don't think they carry Armani at Walmart.
You might be right, but I'll ask next time I'm there.
You do that.
So, where's our host?
He'll be down shortly. Make yourselves comfortable. I'll get us something to drink.
Hors d'oeuvres.
I don't mind if I do. Good evening, Miss Beatrice. May I join you? I suppose so. Eat the ones with the black things.
You rang, Miss Worthington?
Yes, Edith. You can begin to serve the wine.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Roy, how are things going at the office?
Under control.
Don't doubt that in the least.
And how are things wherever it is you spend your time?
Couldn't be better, Roy. Could not be better.
Come in, Miss Bowman. Let me take your coat.
Oh, I'll have to get Edith to bring in some Southern comfort.
Oh, thanks a bunch, Hollister. Here, maybe I'll have a whole place.
Or maybe a pint of Jack Daniels.
Miss Brumley.
Evening, everybody! My goodness, Peggy Sue, that's the biggest present I've ever seen. What is it?
For Edward, probably a money clip.
Oh, silly. It's actually a year's supply of caramel corn. The clerk assured me it wouldn't get stale.
What does he care? He probably retired after he made that sale.
It didn't cost a whole heap of liquor, honey. Besides, it's a token gift anyway. Edward already has everything his little old heart desires.
Does he now?
Roy, Tony, y'all look mighty spiffy tonight.
So do you, Peggy Sue.
Good evening.
In fact, the outlaw, a dress like that, on a woman like you, the combination could be highly combustible.
Flatterer.
Not a moment too soon.
I wouldn't mind a little bubbly.
Miss Phillips? Thank you, dear. Miss Beatrice, would you care for a glass? What's in it? Wine? Nope. If it's not Sprite, I don't want it.
Run along, Edwina, and set up round two.
Yes, ma'am. Roy, come join us.
Yes, dear.
Peggy Sue.
Well, thank you, Tony.
That must be Lauren. Everyone else is here?
Miss Sadie, please, come in.
You were right, Allegra.
It had to be she or the delivery boy from Domino's. And I know for a fact Ina cooked a roast, gravy, whipped potatoes.
Miss Tate.
Good evening, Lauren.
Allegra, everyone.
Good grief, Lauren, why do you have your briefcase? This is a party. Have you got to the point where you've attached it to your wrist with handcuffs like a diplomatic courier?
No, Roy. Edward asked me to bring him some papers. This is for him as well? Now, if you'll excuse me, Edward asked me to meet him in his suite.
How typical of Edward. He never stops thinking of business, even on his birthday. What was that?
If someone's stomach is growling, they can eat the snacks with the black rings on them.
It was thunder. At least everyone arrived before the storm.
Yes, everyone is here. Now everyone is here. Justine, who invited you to the party? Edward, and he didn't invite me, he ordered me to be here.
Father told me to drive down from college as well. Since he pays the tuition, I didn't have much choice. Did I?
Hello, Deborah, dear.
Hello, Auntie.
Justine, dear, why didn't you use the front door? Did you get lost?
No, Connie, my sense of direction is fine. I didn't care to have Hollister greet me at the door like a guest. This used to be my house, and he used to be my butler. The situation would have been awkward for the both of us. I prefer to let myself in.
Mama, let's hang up our coats.
I sent out games in the parlor should anyone wish to play after dinner.
Mrs. Vickers, Justine and Deborah Worthington have just arrived, unexpectedly. I'm afraid we'll need more places set at the dining table.
It's done. I knew they were coming.
Why didn't you tell me?
You didn't ask. More wine, anyone?
Why?
Miss Worthington. I mean, the other one. And Miss Deborah, would you care for some wine?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Set the tray on the table, Edith. Then help me check the dining room table one last time.
Yes, Miss Vickers.
Oh, and Mrs. Worthington, you can ring if you need anything. All right? Edith.
Anna's a great cook, so at least we'll get a decent meal out of this fiasco. What's for dinner?
Roast beef, gravy, whipped potatoes. Ugh.
That sounds good.
Deborah, darling, why don't you and your mother join us? Sit as bail.
All right. This will do fine. My, what a gathering. Edward's loving family and dearest friends. What a joke.
Did somebody tell a joke? What's the biscuit?
Don't worry about it, Beatrice. Ew. I'll have to tell Mrs. Vickers to call the organ man.
Edward is coming down.
Quick, everybody, get up! We have to toast the birthday boy! Here, Lauren. Huh? Happy birthday, Edward! Cheers!
Pull it. A player performs all the roles in his head when he writes the script. I needed a really good actor for this part, so I thought I'd hop in and play Edward for you. Carry on.
Hip, hip, hooray! Oh! Hip, 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 hip.
Forget about it, Beatrice. 2 hips are enough for anybody.
I see you've all managed to arrive. Good. I promise you, this will be a night you'll all remember.
Here, Edward Sugar, you need a glass of wine.